We have access to the entire collected knowledge of humanity, yet the baseline modern experience is a persistent, quiet hollow. The source text identifies this as the hungry ghost phenomenon. We cycle through endless content, seeking a satisfaction that never arrives because we have lost the ability to track a long-form narrative arc for our own lives. We often treat this void as a failure of culture or intellect. We look to politics, new ideologies, or spiritual movements to fill the gap left by traditional institutions. These attempts ignore the physical state of the human nervous system. Seeking a new story while the body is in a state of chronic exhaustion and rhythmic desynchronization treats the symptom rather than the mechanics. The document, Circadian Rhythms of Forgotten Gods, investigates the biological mechanics of purpose, positing the meaning crisis is a chronobiological event. Old cultural containers required a specific biological clock to remain credible, relying on physical synchronization with the day-night cycle. The capacity for awe requires a nervous system that can maintain attention beyond the immediate present. Without our circadian sovereignty, we lose the temporal scaffolding necessary to hold a story together. A healthy melatonin wave naturally rises in the evening for deep rest, but artificial blue light flattens this cascade. Coupled with a dopamine siege, constant digital micro-rewards fragment attention, replacing a smooth wave with jagged, erratic spikes. When the body is trapped in these 15-second feedback loops, it loses the physiological capacity to believe in the dawn. The brain becomes biologically incapable of sustaining the long arc attention required for complex meaning. A shattered circadian clock creates a state of measurable desynchronization. If the body cannot track time through its own blood and fire, it cannot anchor itself to a coherent worldview. This is the context for artificial intelligence. The text views AI not as a villain, but as a reflection of our own fragmentation. AI provides infinite context and information, yet it is entirely arrhythmical. It can mirror our stories, but it lacks the pulse required to keep the fire it reflects. It is the ultimate hungry ghost. It devours human narrative with no necessity for rest, mirroring the exact shape of our own rhythmic wounds. We have outsourced our memory and storytelling to machines that do not sleep. In doing so, we have adopted their timeless, frictionless state, losing our own biological pulse in the process. The text identifies the pineal gland as the keeper of the inner sun, the biological anchor for mythic coherence. Storytelling is a neuroendocrine event built on the eternal spiral, the interaction between the daytime cortisol curve and nighttime melatonin curve. These hormonal cycles provide the physiological grounding for myth. Without this internal rhythm, the stories we tell remain intellectual exercises rather than living truths. To reclaim this rhythm, the 30-day program focuses on circadian sovereignty. It begins with dawn ignition, true sunrise exposure within 30 minutes of waking to anchor biological rhythm. Resetting the dopamine baseline involves sunset screen curfews and specific fasts to clear modern distraction. Battlefield rituals involve speaking living myth aloud during moments of anxiety or digital hijack. This deliberately re-anchors attention inside the chaos of the modern environment. Each practice treats rhythm as the root of meaning. Biological alignment is the prerequisite for the capacity to hold a coherent story. This synthesis refuses spiritual bypassing. It grounds the revival of myth in chronobiology, requiring the individual to manage their light and their attention with discipline. The goal is to move from feeding the AI mirror to becoming the light source. Reclaiming circadian sovereignty means taking responsibility for the biological ground of your own consciousness. The text uses the dragon as an archetype for this reclamation. It suggests that we are made of the same fire as the stories we seek, provided we can maintain the rhythm that allows that fire to burn. Governance over our personal biological time is the first step toward reclaiming meaning. The storyteller does not return to entertain, he returns to govern his own time.